This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
There is a new super team in the NBA. We'll get to that. Whew. Got a lot to get to today. What's going on over there, Izzy?
What's going on with you, man? Just looking at some colors.
Are you?
Yep.
We'll get to colors as well.
Big part of my day now.
Yeah. Well, we have to start with the news, I guess, last night out of Columbus with Urban Meyer and his press conference last night. So Urban Meyer is going to suck some of the fun out of today's proceedings. But what were your thoughts? So Urban Meyer gets a 3-game suspension.
Yeah.
Buckeye Nation very happy. Their coach is still their coach. I understand Buckeye Nation, especially the younger demographic there, Izzy, where all they care is, hey, win 9 out of 10 games. Let's make it to the Final Four, win a national championship every couple of years. That's all they care about. I promise you, with age comes perspective. If it happened to me, it could happen to anyone. Mm-hmm. And at some point in their lives, they'll look back and say, wow, what a dope. What a dope I was being. But what were your thoughts here? So Urban Meyer gets 3 games. He does not get fired. He doesn't get anything. He gets 3 games, and then had that ridiculous press conference where he seemed agitated, seemed like he didn't want to be there, seemed like he was floored by the fact that he was getting 3 games. Yeah. Your thoughts there were what?
I mean, this has pretty much happened the way I thought it was going to happen. Like yesterday, we talked for a minute just about the idea of the university showing some version of, having morals, but finding a way to show those off without actually being a detriment to the football program and to the university, right? So you can still say, hey, we found some sketchy behavior in our head coach that we're not proud of, even though they did comment on his core values and respect for women and them saying that was a positive, even though he didn't actually act upon those values in this situation. They found enough reason to say, ooh, he was a little dirty, a little sketchy. Let's suspend him for 3 games without pay. That way we clear our conscience of saying that he did nothing wrong because we admit that he did something wrong.
Right.
But in the end, we still keep our program intact and he doesn't have to, he comes back from this and essentially says, hey, I paid my penalty and we go on. But I think when you read some of the details of the investigation, you realize how hard they had to work to get to that point of, hey, he did enough based on what he knew and what he didn't know. And this is from the investigation where somebody wrote, quote, we learned Coach Meyer has sometimes had significant memory issues in other situations where he had prior extensive knowledge of events. He has also periodically taken medicine that can negatively impair his memory, concentration, and focus.
That's convenient.
Yeah, not really his fault. Just like, things going crazy in Florida. Oh, my heart. Things are going crazy at Ohio State. Oh, my memory because of these medications that I'm on. Can't blame myself for anything.
And let's be clear at what happened at the University of Florida, of what happened while he was at the University of Florida. 31 arrests while he was the head coach. 31. He had a halo over the program. It was Tim Tebow. That distracted you from what was really going on at the University of Florida. And once Urban Meyer lost that halo, he suddenly wanted to spend more time with his family.
Yeah, suddenly his heart wasn't working properly.
Yes. Yeah.
And just like in this situation, he doesn't remember certain things. And, he did what he had to do. It's exactly what I thought it would be. It's an immoral coach and an immoral university and an immoral just institution.
Well, I think one of the larger problems is, I'm sorry, guys, one of the larger problems, though, is you have a committee investigating this where 3 of its members are Ohio State trustees. Like, if you want a fair investigation, get a bunch of people who don't care about the school, don't care about Urban Meyer. They only care about the facts because that investigation took forever for them to complete it. And, I applaud them for that, for taking their time. But I feel like a lot of people, myself included, are more confused now and have more questions now than they did before the investigation started.
But isn't morality subjective?
Yeah, you can muddy the facts. Like, you can say whatever facts are actually there and say, maybe he didn't know this, or maybe he acted just enough upon that. I'm good with that. I'm like, listen, if this guy can't remember certain things that would eventually protect a guy who could be abusing his girlfriend/wife, then how do we let this man be in charge of not 1 or 2, but 100 growing young men who need somebody, need that leader in their life, need that moral sort of voice. And regardless of whether you say, hey, this is football, it's not about that stuff, well, the parents are going to say otherwise. And the parents of those players who maybe aren't going to get paid millions, for playing in the NFL are more concerned about this type of leadership in these programs.
I thought the press conference yesterday was a little troubling because I want to play you a clip right here. He was asked what his message was to Courtney Smith. This was his answer.
What message do you have for Courtney Smith?
Well, I have a message for everyone involved in this. I'm sorry that we're in this situation. And I'm just sorry we're in this situation.
What about Shelley's text messages? Why were you not concerned from her messages about this situation?
I was not aware of Shelley's text messages at the time.
Man.
I'm sorry we're in this situation. Sort of misses the whole point of this. He could have ended at I'm sorry. He already got his punishment. Nothing that he's going to say is going to make that punishment worse.
He's already done and said and shown enough actions in support of Zach Smith that even the slightest commentary in support of Courtney would be considered not even necessary, just a nice gesture by him, something that he could do, and he failed to do that.
Should have done it, but maybe he had attorneys telling him not to do it. Maybe. That would be my best guess. Mike, that would be your best guess,
potentially,
right? Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some of those consequences to take into account, but in watching that, it appeared, now this may not be the case, but it appeared to me that it was sort of a man and an institution that was more concerned about how do we avoid this from happening again? What can we put in place so that we don't get caught? Rather than addressing what actually went wrong here. There didn't seem to be sincere guilt for what happened. It was, whoa, this could be a problem in today's day and age. It didn't seem like it really hit Urban Meyer, the gravity of the situation. It was just, how do I get back to coaching my team? That was just the appearance of it. And that may not be how he feels, but you have to nail the appearance when you've had all this time, specifically Urban, who I'm sure has been consulting his management team and all sorts of public relations experts on exactly how to approach this.
What?
It was a disappointing showing.
Why does he have to nail the appearance, though, Mike? Why?
Because
this is pretty egregious, and all he got was a 3-game suspension. I mean, why? Why does he have to? It doesn't matter. However he addresses that press conference, he's still the head coach at Ohio State. And that's the problem. And I'm interested in that. That is the problem, because that's the part that I'm interested in, is that we keep building these guys up to something that, I'm sorry, many of them are not. They're not what they're trying to portray.
No, he says he followed his heart and not my head.
Right.
So your heart had what? No sympathy for the potential victim here, and it's only because your receivers could be coached by this man. Like, I don't, I'm longing for the day that we're past the people, unless the men, because there's not any women coaching men in college football right now at the head coaching position. So I'm longing for the day where these men just say, okay, it's not worth it to swallow my pride, to be painted as this bad person, to ignore these situations where my conscience is having a hard time dealing with it. I'm longing for the day that these guys aren't in charge, or finally say, you know what, okay, that's not worth it for me. Rather than a guy like Urban, who has accomplished so much and done so much, and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take the fall for this one. I messed up. Hope it doesn't stain my entire career, but hey, at least I'm being a stand-up guy.
Here's why appearance matters to me, and I think why it matters to a lot of people.
Mike, it matters to us. It doesn't matter to him. That was my larger point.
Well, it seemed pretty obvious to me from watching that, and I'm certain that wasn't the impression that they wanted to give off, and they clearly missed the mark. But this was one of the more murky scandals. Usually, it's pretty plain and simple. Penn State's a totally different animal, but it wasn't as subjective as something like this. We were learning about this type of situation through this scandal. So I was willing to sit back through the semi-independent investigation.
Which people don't sit back. People adjudicate like right away. They figure out, hey, I don't like what I'm hearing. This guy's guilty. It's obvious. Let's move on. And you should sit back and listen and wait.
Yeah, I don't know what the right ruling is here. And I'm brave enough to admit that I'm not going in here with a prediction he's going to be fired.
But the more you learn,
yeah, I'm learning through this. So basically, all I want to see is that someone learned from this. I want to see a certain level of contrition.
You think he learned?
The appearances from
Mike, 31 arrests at the University of Florida. His reward, head coach at Ohio State. Now this, Jim Tressel, who has to be outraged today, fired for a lot less than Urban Meyer. Then he goes to Ohio State. This happens. He's won 90% of his games. He's won a national championship in 6 seasons. He knows he's not getting fired. And that's the problem. They know they're not getting fired. The Urban Meyers, the Nick Sabans, they know, unless it's so over the top, it so crosses the line where it's so obvious to everyone, they're not going to get in trouble,
I'll
Mike.
even give the university some credit for the suspension without pay because they didn't have cause to fire him, supposedly, right? So they would have had, if they would have fired him, they would have had to pay all this money. That's something they're trying to avoid. They keep their program safe. But hey, they suspended him for 3 games. They didn't even have to do that.
They're establishing a template. There's no precedent for this. That's why I was fine with whatever sort of punishment they handed down, as long as there was some punitive measure. Right. What I wanted to see was contrition, and I didn't see that yesterday.
All right, coming up next, a new super team in the NBA. We'll tell you about it.
Is your home an ADT home? Get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. ADT is the first security company to help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate. With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Don Le Batard.
Ooh. Guillermo, sassy.
Stugotz.
You're sexy when you're sassy.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We got a situation here. We'll get back to Urban Meyer and this new NBA super team in a minute.
Wow, he's in it? This is exciting.
No. Our board op in Bristol, Mikey C. Is Mikey C in today?
He is.
He is, okay. So he's the board op up in Bristol. Now, I did a weekend show for a few years with Mike Golick Jr.
Is that no longer existing?
It's been off the air for about a year. Yeah. Okay. But we did it from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern on Sunday mornings. And we did it right in the middle of my bar and bat mitzvah circuit. So there were many a night where I got home at meaning I had to go to all my kids' friends' bar and bat mitzvahs, Izzy, on Saturday night. And so I would get home at 2, 3 in the morning.
That's like a once-in-a-lifetime type of circuit, like when your kids are a certain age and you got all their friends.
Yes. Okay. And you're thankful when it's over. Okay. And I am thankful that it is now. I'm on the other side of it. Yes. Yes. I am Andy Dufresne. I have crawled through and I have come out clean on the other side.
Stugotz, for those who are not familiar with the bat mitzvah circuit, coming home at 2 a.m. in the morning, that's a regular occurrence from these events.
What time did you get home from my kid's bat mitzvah?
I mean, that was an insane party.
I mean, many of them are like that. So what time did you get home? You get home probably 1:30, right?
Well, you also live in Jacksonville, so I got home the next day,
right.
The next morning at 11
North
a.m.
Jacksonville.
I'm just waiting on Elon Musk to build that bullet train that gets me from Jacksonville. And when he does, I'll move to Tallahassee. I mean, listen, and the only reason, what is it, Ultra Music Fest? The only reason I live so far north is because my kids who are now going into high school, my daughters, they will never attend Ultra Fest. I don't care. And I will drive as far as I have to prevent them from going to Ultra
That is
Fest.
some good parenting right there.
Thank you.
That's not true. Didn't you already take them to a music festival?
I took them to a weekend in Mexico for some Grateful
No,
Dead
you
shows.
said like Sun Festival or something. That you were
that's up in Palm Beach. Listen, there aren't kids on ecstasy,
There are 4 generations of people at Sunfest any given year.
You're gonna go with them to Ultra. You're gonna go with them to Ultra.
I'm not going to Ultra. They're not going to Ultra. They're never. Over my dead body, are they going
will
to
go
Ultra?
to Ultra.
They're not going to Ultra.
I'm taking the over.
I'm moving to New Orleans.
There's no debauchery there.
Forget it. Bad choice. I'm moving somewhere. What's the most boring city in America? What is it?
The one that wants to get you for a day.
Walk myself right into that. Sioux Falls. Yeah. We'll get to that, too.
You live closer to Orlando, and they got Electric Daisy Carnival. They got EDC over there. So you're just, everywhere you go, there's another festival. You can't outrun it. Poor Mikey C probably thinks you were good to talk to him.
I am here. But so Mikey C, we used to do this segment with Mikey C. Mikey C smokes, I think, 5 packs a day.
A day.
And he's
upped it since.
Oh, 2? Mikey, 2? You cut down? Okay, so we used to do the segment called
down way.
We used to do a segment called Smoke Break. Now, Mikey C would go out to a dumpster on the Bristol campus, and he would enjoy a cigarette or two with his guest that week. And it was a very popular segment. Mikey C did a very good job with the segment. But the issue we're having now with Mikey C is he has decided, he DMs me on Twitter, just his stream of consciousness. I haven't responded to any of them.
On Twitter, he DMs you.
He sends me DMs.
Like, Mikey, do you not have his actual phone number?
I'll give you an example, and I haven't responded to one of them. I mean, going back to June 20th, I have no idea what we were doing. You guys are the kings of taking a not-so-funny skit to the complete limit. No response. June 28th, my God, nobody interviews actors worse than Batard.
Was that Benicio? That was Benicio.
July 27th, Billy's movie debate could die. And then I got one on August 20th. You and Dan should take another 2 weeks off. Your listeners have loved hearing Mikey C on the air.
I have.
Your listeners have loved it.
Yeah, like when he sat in his car. Well, I don't know if he was in his car, but when he decided to try to make himself cry, Stugotz, by literally poking himself in the eye so that the tears would flow out.
But Mikey C, why are you sending me DMs? Like, you have my number. You produced my show for many years. You could just send me text messages. I haven't responded to one. You've been doing this for nearly a year now. Why are you just not calling me? Why are you not sending me text messages? Why have you decided to do it this way?
I feel that if you're in the middle of a segment and somebody sends you a text message and, the vibration of the phone might jolt you and throw you off your game.
Right.
I figure more, a DM is more professional.
Right, but a producer's job is to give uplifting messages during the show. I mean, you're slamming our show while we're doing the show. And so here's what I'm telling you. I'll give you the airtime that you want, all right? If you could secure Stephen A. Smith for a smoke break out at the dumpster on the Bristol campus, because he's headed to New York soon. That's where First Take is going. If you could secure Stephen A. Smith, and I'll help you out any way I can, okay? Not only will I air your smoke break with Stephen A. Smith, I will air today the smoke break that you did with Fat Chris and Guillermo. How about that?
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
The problem with that is, though, I've actually been warned this morning to not bother Stephen A. to ask him to do a smoke break already.
And by that, you mean he's got a restraining order on you.
Pretty much.
Warned him. The local police department warned him.
If you get too close to Stephen A., we might not have a Mikey C anymore.
I cannot believe you're trying to open up the text me portal, Stugotz. You know what? You can easily ignore a direct message. Now you just want your phone vibrating. Mikey C has better judgment about this than you do.
I guess you're right. Where is Stephen A. it? Like, is there anyone else at ESPN if Mikey C gets where we will air it and we'll air the one he did with Fat Chris and Guillermo? Because Stephen A. is going to be a tough task. It is. I mean, I'll help you out. I'll put a text in, but is there anyone else there? If you get going with Max, how about Max?
How about Mikey C just sort of casts out a net today because we can't air Stephen A. He's got to move mountains to get.
How about
Stephen
he
A.
gives us options and we decide if it's worth it?
Yeah, throughout the show, he'll let us know who he can get.
Yeah. Is Kenny Mayne in Bristol?
I think he's based on the West Coast.
Mikey C, who's floating around there today? Anyone?
I don't know. Yeah, I have to look around.
I got a good one for you, Mikey C. This is Victor Cruz's first day on the Bristol campus, is it not?
His first week.
It's his first week, Mikey C. That'd be a good one.
He's pretty fast, though. I don't know if I'll be able to catch up with him.
John Fox. John Fox.
Foxy. I mean, he talks like you. Yeah.
He looks like he smokes.
Did you say you're going to text Stephen A.? You're not going to text Stephen A. about this.
Total lot. So,
I ain't got time to bleed.
Be helpful if I had the commercials in here.
Yeah, that would be.
Trying to signal that to someone. Yeah. I think Victor Cruz, I'm good. John Fox, I'm good.
I'd like to see a video of you chasing Victor Cruz there, Mikey.
I mean, you got to work. You want to get on the air, you got to get it done. I will air both smoke breaks, Mikey C, if you get it done. Think about who we're going to do here.
Dan Batard.
Texter writes in, what makes you happy?
Stugotz.
Do I give off on-air unhappiness? Do I give off?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit more recently.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah,
really?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, we're walking on eggshells around here, man. All of us.
Money.
This is very therapeutic. I'm glad this came up.
Money. We can all agree. Money. It's money.
Money
makes him happy.
Yeah, money.
not true at all.
Money.
Well, it's the things money buys, really. Like the binge drinking.
Possessions.
Possessions.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
New super team in the NBA is brewing. We will get to it in just a bit. Very exciting news. Plus, the audience is demanding Mikey C. I don't know what to tell you. Mikey C has to get a smoke break. He has to solidify a big-time guest up at Bristol today, record the smoke break today. If he does so, I will air not only that smoke break, but the one he did with Fat Chris and Guillermo that aired on Weekend Observations on Sunday morning, and it was hysterical. It was great. Now, the audience, our audience, wants to hear that. They want to hear Mikey C with Fat Chris and Guillermo. So, Mikey C, anyone? Mikey C, anyone pop into your mind? Have you thought of anyone yet that you might want to pursue? Maybe we can help you out with here?
I'm actually in a meeting right now trying to discuss who we could get, and I think we're going to shoot big. Might as well, right?
Okay, you guys having a meeting about this?
Who's in the meeting?
Yeah,
We've got Bubba, one of the board ops here, Jerry, our production guy,
right? Okay.
Tim, our production guy.
I feel like Bubba can get stuff done. Is that right?
Bubba, he's a
Bubba
mover and shaker.
Bubba can get things done.
Are these all people who are supposed to be focusing on the show right now?
Yeah, and Fran's here too.
Okay. All right,
yeah, we're supposed to be working on the show.
So you brought out the big guns, huh?
As big as I can get, yeah.
Bubba could get Stephen A. if we wanted to. Truth be told, I don't know if Mikey C wants me to say this. Mikey C and Bubba have a bit of a rivalry, and Mikey C doesn't like me as much as he used to because he made me choose between him and Bubba, and I chose Bubba, and Mikey C did not like that. But I'm telling you, Bubba gets things done. Bubba's a closer.
All right.
That is true. I don't like Bubba.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like Billy?
Yeah, Billy's okay. Billy came on the Outsider podcast last night, my podcast.
Pick that name up you just dropped.
Who else was a recent guest? I was told you had a very special guest recently on the podcast, someone who supplies something that is basically oxygen to you.
Oh, yeah, a bot. The guy at the gas station that sells me my cigarettes. I had him on last week's episode.
Send me that, please. I'm not going to air it. Send me that, though. I need to hear that.
What's happening next week?
Yeah. Who you got next?
You never know. You have to tune in.
All right. Wait, so you've taken my idea for you, and now, because we no longer do the show, you have now planted it on your own podcast?
Stugotz is strong in me.
You learn well, man. That's a heady play. Israel, it appears that this committee got together. It does. It appears they got together, and they said, hey, let's confuse everyone.
The committee to find Stephen A. at the smoke break?
No, the committee, well, that committee too, but the committee got together that decided Urban Meyer's fate at Ohio State. It's a 3-game suspension without pay. Mm-hmm. He'll be able to, well, he can't be around the team until September 2nd, and then he can go back and run the team, run practices, but will miss the first 3 games. It seems like this committee, first off, what an absolute sham. The fact that you have a committee with 3 Ohio State trustees who are helping with the investigation and helping determine Urban Meyer's fate. I mean, it's just...
How is it a sham? It's an internal investigation.
Mike, no, I want an independent investigation. I don't want people who are fans of Ohio State University and their football program. I don't want that. I want people who don't care about it, don't care about Urban Meyer. I would like it to be independent.
Here's the thing, though. They still pointed out things that were negative, distinctly negative about Urban Meyer and painted him in a way that kind of says, yeah, this was shady, but his argument is impenetrable. It's, hey, I'm on some stuff. Maybe I didn't really remember that stuff, and so you can't really fire me, so they just penalize him. But in the end, it comes down to Ohio State didn't want to ruin their football program over a moral issue. And I think all of its fans would agree to say, hey, you know what? We'll take the L and we say, hey, yeah, we looked bad on this one, but let's keep our coach because he didn't actually do anything letter of the law wrong. So it's exactly what you would expect it to paint out, to play out as. And for those who say, oh, you know, you guys are moralizing just because you're not Ohio State fans, leave our program alone. Like, I would do this about any program, about my program, about the Gators, because it's not really worth it to me. There's always going to be a football coach there. There's always going to be Saturdays where I can watch that team play. I'd rather not have to do it cheering for a guy who's in charge of these student athletes who's just, you know, doing stuff like this.
But are you buying the memory stuff? Because I guarantee you, if you picked a random game from 2 seasons ago and asked Urban Meyer today, do you remember every play you called during that game? I promise you, he remembers every single detail of that game.
I mean, you can't promise. If he's saying he's taking medication, I'm pretty sure they're not taking his word for it. They're looking into the medication that he's taking and seeing some of the side effects.
It's even hard for this investigative committee to believe that Shelley Meyer never told Urban about those texts. But it's a he said, she said. They can't say honest. They can't say firmly, hey, yeah, we know you knew because our wives would have told us.
Mike, but you're really, this feels like the dog ate the homework type stuff. It's, hey, I'm on medication and my wife never told me.
But even an independent investigator would have had to have come to the same conclusion. Okay, we don't believe you, but we can't prove otherwise.
Yeah, I'm not refuting that it's hard to believe and that this is a stretch. And I'm looking at the evidence and I'm drawing my own conclusion just based on that can't possibly be the case.
Right.
But there's no smoking gun here. There's no really apparent attempt at a cover-up here. So now it's just a moral call.
Which is why it drives me nuts when the fans are saying, are defending him and saying, hey, we can get past it. Look, again, there's always Ohio State's going to try to find the best possible coach to replace him if they had to replace him. You're going to get the best possible, whatever that program can put together, the best possible coach to replace him if you were to get rid of him. And your Saturdays would be filled with all those same emotions. You just don't have to swallow that, I guess, pride, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, to say, yeah, I'm cheering for a guy who clearly covered up a situation where it appeared to be domestic abuse. Like, I get it. Like, I'm just over it as a fan. And this isn't even somebody that's working in sports. Just as a fan of sports for 3 decades, I'm just tired of it.
Mike, the morals part is important, but it's hard to be Ohio State where you fired Jim Tressel because he lied about knowing about tattoos and selling memorabilia. I mean, you fired him, and Urban Meyer gets to keep his job. I mean, Tressel won a national championship as well. You can't be the university that does that to Jim Tressel and then just, Urban Meyer, 3 games without paying.
He also happened to be in the perfect gray area because this domestic violence in particular happens to be more in our sight than it has been ever involved in terms of sports. And it also happens to be still a ridiculously gray area where we don't know exactly how to penalize, how to make judgment. And here we are trying to say, hey, it wasn't even him doing these things. It was somebody else on his staff. And now we're supposed to make him pay. It's just too much of a gray area.
I can understand when people personalize, especially something like domestic abuse, which is really at the heart of this. But these major college scandals, specifically in college, because of how it's all set up, where the institution and the coaches and everyone around the program, except the people actually going out there and playing the games, get rewarded for it. The institution of college football and all these punishments around these national scandals, all the punishments are arbitrary, fairly arbitrary. You comparison shop the Nevin Shapiro scandal compared to what this is and some of the tattoo stuff. Some of it seems ridiculous when you compare. I'm trying to separate all of it because I take college football for what it is. It is impure, and it's also pure. I'm wearing my colors, and I'm seeing my guys collide, and my guys are going to collide and hurt you more than your guys hurt me. It's a sport, and all too often we're injecting this morality. If you're going to inject morality into college football, which seems just unjust, at its very surface, considering the kids are the ones pulling all the money into it, I just can't do that.
But if you're going to be okay with immorality, then it's not a pure situation. You're not enjoying the game for what, like I said, there's always going to be a situation where you're going to be going into a game, nervous, seeing if you're going to win. You're going to have these competitive juices flowing as a fan. That's always going to be the case, especially when you're part of a major program, unless they get some sort of death penalty or something. So that's always going to be there. So if you want to include the immorality with it and be okay with it, that's you making that decision. I don't want to make that decision. I don't like it.
You would say it's subjective.
Yeah.
Just sort of like this whole punishment that came up.
Yeah.
Time for Dan to reluctantly take part in something Stugotz couldn't be happier doing.
You do have someone here, Mike, that is someone's daughter, that is someone's mom, that is kind of being ignored. That appeared to be abused for a very, very long time, and it appeared that Urban Meyer probably knew about the abuse that was going on in that household, and she's kind of being ignored here.
The appearances, the optics of it are terrible.
Yep.
Stugotz, the optics are terrible. I wouldn't say she's kind of being ignored. It almost seemed as though if the goal was to have Urban Meyer survive this, it played out sort of all right in terms of the national media, because at first it was red hot. it really seemed like Urban Meyer was going to lose his job over this. And it just sort of cooled down in the news cycle, and they survived. They weathered the storm, and it seems okay. And then that press conference sort of undid everything.
I'm a squeaky toy, and I've got one job, getting chomped on by this little ankle sniffer. So pardon me for feeling inept compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like while I'm getting slobbered on, Geico is creating cool technology like their mobile app, which lets people pay their bills or file a claim. Plus, Geico is the fastest growing auto insurer for the last 10 years. Is it too much for me to ask for one more feature? Fast and friendly claim service like Geico, maybe? Oh, great. I'm getting buried again.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Don Le Batard.
Oscar Robinson had 41 triple-doubles back in 61-62. 41.
Stugotz.
It's Robertson, but
Big O.
Okay, but
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
There is a new super team brewing in the NBA. You're going to want to hear about it, and I will tell you about it coming up later today.
Is it the Pacers?
Perhaps. Let's just let it sit there. We'll discuss. It's exciting, though. You would agree, right?
I mean, I can't wait.
I mean,
this Bucks combo is going to be amazing.
It would be the best team in the NBA. Is that fair? Or would Golden State still be better than this potential new super team? Actually, not even potential.
I will even suspend that opinion.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it later. Michelle Beadle, you can check her out every day, 7 to 10 a.m. on Get Up with Mike Greenberg and Jalen Rose. She had some very strong and interesting comments on the heels of the decision by the committee that Urban Meyer would get a 3-game suspension without pay.
2018 will go down for me as the year where we've just decided we're not going to use the word lie anymore, and we're going to call it all kinds of other things. He lied. He didn't misrepresent the facts. He wasn't less than accurate. You lied, and you could just call it lying. Like why we've decided as media and as a society to just kind of walk around that so very softly. You're a liar. You lied, period, done. That being said, there's a reason why this will be the second season I don't watch NFL, and I don't spend my Saturdays watching college football either. I believe that the sport of football has set itself up to be in a position where it shows itself in the bigger picture to not really care about women. They don't really care about people of color, but we won't get into that for NFL either. But as a woman, I feel like a person who has been marginalized, and every single one of these stories that comes out, every single time pushes me further and further away. I realize they don't care, but for me, it's opened up my weekends. I appreciate you for giving that to me. I don't care anymore. I've lost the ability to be surprised. You got 3 games. You could have been fired. They could have gotten away with not having to pay you a single dime. You survived it. And not only did you survive it, but you didn't have the grace enough to at least look over the statement that you were handed 7 seconds before and pretend that like you meant a single word in it. The entire thing is a disgrace. I'm just numb to it. I'm just ready for NBA to kick off, quite frankly. That's what I'm here for.
I mean, it's kind of what I'm talking about with, it's a different perspective being from a woman and somebody that, something that only they can really, discuss or articulate. But it's the same thing that I'm talking about. It's just like, listen, I know it's going to be there if I choose to be a fan. I know whatever institution, program, team, whatever I choose to be a fan of, it's going to be there and available for me. Unless they get rid of the program altogether, it's going to be there and available for me.
But you want that program to be as good as possible. I think that's what Ohio State fans are.
Just don't be evil. Like, don't cover up these types of things. Don't just obviously look bad. It's exactly true what Michelle said. Lying is lying. Like, we're changing the definition of the word these days and calling it something entirely different when we know exactly, we, meaning the people who weren't part of the investigation, who know what other people sound like when they're not telling the truth, who know the history of sports in general and maintaining their job at any given cost. We know what essentially happened here. And to hear it, as Michelle said, over and over and over again with disrespect to women in particular, I do not blame anybody to just throw their hands up in the air and say, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm swallowing some sort of pride. I'm swallowing some sort of dignity here. And it's just not worth it to see these guys who I know even the student athletes are being mistreated or aren't giving the type of attention or whatever it is that money or payment that is required. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more women or just people in general who are just over it.
I love what Michelle said. I love what you just said, but you guys represent the minority, right? The majority, they just want to go 11-0 and win national championships.
They want to put blinders on and they just want to cheer. They just want their Sunday experiences or their Saturday experiences to be contained within those 3 hours and not have to worry about any morality during, before, or after.
NBA Super Team next.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-Progressive.
It happens.
And Progressive.com, I know. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And now your SportsCenter update. The UFC has finalized the Chris Cyborg Justino Amanda Nunes super fight for UFC 232 set for December 29th that will have Nunes' featherweight title on the line. I thought that was backward. I thought it was Cyborg's title that was going to be on
Nunes,
the line.
fine.
Let's talk about that. The NFL's competition committee has determined that there will be no changes to the new helmet rule. And finally, the Roanoke Times reports there is a rogue citizen who is calling attention to unpicked up piles of dog poop by sticking the poop with spikes with Nicolas Cage's face attached to them. DraftKings is hosting a fantasy football contest for week 1 with $2 million up for grabs. Get the app or go to DraftKings.com now and use code DAN to play free with your first deposit. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. For all the latest headlines and information, tune into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. How about that?
We'll get to the Herbies in a second. Can you read that last story again, just for me and for the audience? We'll get to the Herbies, NBA Super Team, and we got a new game called Israel or Is Fake.
That's not.
No, that's not what it's called.
That's the new game. That's it.
Israel or Is Fake.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
All right, last story. The NFL's competition committee has determined there will be no changes to the new helmet rule. That was the last story, yeah?
No, the other one.
The UFC has finalized the Chris Cyborg Justino Amanda Nunes super fight for UFC 232 set for December 29th that will have Nunes' featherweight title on the line.
What do you think about that?
Very interesting. First of all, I did read yesterday where I thought it was Cyborg's title on the line, and I'm very much intrigued. Nunes, I wouldn't say a close friend of mine, but, an acquaintance.
Not that close if you can't get her name right.
I mean, I call her Nunes, and she turned her, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Nunes.
It's a $2 fine regardless.
All right. Just once or every time I say it?
Well, actually, you said it twice. So
what if I
$4.
have her call in and pronounce her name?
You want to pick up all the names you've dropped the last couple of days? I mean, Giancarlo Stanton. Who else was at an after party after a flag football tournament that you were telling us?
No, that was
Robert
at
Kraft?
11. Robert Kraft was at. I mean, it was a party up in Boston. That was fun. He was on stage and it was cool. He didn't bring Meek Mill though. I think because Meek Mill was probably in prison at the time.
Yeah.
But I believe the story you were talking about. The Roanoke Times reports there was a rogue citizen who's calling attention to unpicked up piles of dog poop by sticking the poop with spikes with Nicolas Cage's face attached to them.
Is that the face you would use for that? Is there a better face than Nicolas Cage's face for that particular story, Mike?
I mean, I wouldn't disgrace Nicolas Cage's face by putting it near dog poop, but it is a pretty inspired idea because this is plaguing my neighborhood. I'm the only person in my neighborhood that picks up after their dog. Several people just have these mounds of poop all over my lawn, not picking up after their dog. It's galling, really. And I think if you start attaching something that's sort of like a neon sign to these landmines out there, maybe people will not want to see those. They're totally fine with the poop, apparently. So how about, I like sticking a Nicolas Cage face, actually. You want to get rid of the Nicolas Cage face?
Wouldn't that just encourage them to have your dog poop here? Like, this is clearly the spot. There's Nicolas Cage's face.
No, the association's going to have a problem with a Nicolas Cage face around.
Yeah.
You seem to be the crazy neighbor because, you're always arguing with people over poop. You're arguing with people about peacocks. Are you in the homeowners association? Are you the neighbor that people try to avoid? Because you seem to have a problem with a lot of things.
Hold up, what's the problem with peacocks? And how is it your association's fault?
Because they're allowing several peacocks to roam free as pets. These aren't domesticated animals.
Absurd.
Are they roaming free as pets, or are they just roaming free because they happen to be...
No, they're pets. They're pets. They're pets. They're pets, and the owners just put them outside, and it's everybody else's problem to deal with.
But
Savages.
but it's a great question by Guillermo, because you are that guy. I'm that guy. I complain about all this stuff. I also break all the rules, but I complain about everything. And then last night we had our HOA vote, and I didn't show up, and I didn't vote. But I'll complain. I'll complain all the way through. But you are that guy, Mike.
I've never attended an HOA meting. I've never voted for an HOA representative. I just privately express my frustrations to my wife. But did I tell you guys that I actually caught somebody not picking up after their dog on my lawn? That was incredibly rewarding.
Did you throw a Nicolas Cage mask at them?
I walked up to them and I said, I actually drove past them because I saw them, like I waved to them. I waved to them when they were there because I didn't realize that their dog was pooping on my lawn. And then I stepped out and there was a steaming pile of poop. It was clearly fresh. And I was like, I got to track this person down. I walked around one corner of the block. I didn't see them, so I hopped in my car. Oh, my God. And I hopped in my car.
You're like you've made yourself like the night watch of this community. Like, I imagine you just sitting around with a flashlight in the dark waiting to catch someone doing something, and then you turn it on, and it's like a really strong like laser beam type light that you like shine right on the person and call them out.
I hopped in my car, and I tracked them down. They were exiting the entire premises. I think they were from. I live in like one part of. I live in.
That's the play. You do it in someone else's neighborhood.
Yeah. Because there's like two different. They're owned by the same. They're managed by the same property company, but they're 1 and 2. This person came over from number 2 to leave their number 2 on my number 1.
Speaking of heady play. I have 2 questions. Have you ever seen a peacock fly?
No.
Magic.
I've seen them like around the neighborhood. I've seen them get off the ground like maybe like 2.5 feet across a driveway once.
No, like
just
from,
seemed like
from a rooftop to like the ground, fully.
It's scary.
Is that flying or gliding?
I don't know if they fly. That's a great question.
No, they fly.
You sure?
They fly. We can look that up while I ask my second question. Do you sometimes hesitate to wave hello to somebody walking their dog because in their wave back to you, they will be carrying a bag of poop? Like, I used to hate walking my dog after having picked up poop and having people wave hi to me because my answer is going to bring up, a stinky thing up clear my nose.
I waved the bag of poop, yeah.
It's clearly not a problem in my neighborhood because I'm the only one with these bags. I've actually said passersby, hey, how do you plan on picking up after your dog? Because you don't have any.
Maybe they're very social people that anticipate waving hello a lot, or even having conversations with people along their walk and don't want to have a steaming pile of poo in their hand.
Peacocks do fly. Do you interact with other dogs? I try to avoid. Like when I'm walking my dog, I avoid anyone else who is walking their dog. I don't want that. I don't need my dog talking to all the other dogs. I don't need it. I don't need to interact with everyone walking their dog. And there's this one Russian guy in my neighborhood. All he does is walk the dog. He's got nothing better to do. And he walks this big dog who poops on everyone's lawn, walks him day and night and day, and everyone's trying to avoid the guy. And he thinks that his dog is entitled just because he's out there to hang out and play with your dog. And I have to yell at this guy almost on a daily basis.
Okay, a couple of things. I feel like at Mike's HOA meetings now, they're all talking about just going and pooping on his lawn because they know it bothers him.
He's not going to be there.
Exactly. They know it bothers him at this point.
Yeah.
And Stugotz, I feel like maybe if you befriend the Russian guy, then he won't poop on your lawn. Like, he's going around pooping on everyone's lawn because everyone's avoiding him. If you become his friend, then he'll leave you alone, I think.
Yeah, I want less friends, not more friends. He can poop on my lawn all he wants. The Russian guy. All he wants. Just leave me alone. Stop talking to me and stop bringing your dog over to my dog. How's that sound?
So when I drove up to this person who had their dog poop on my lawn and didn't pick up after it, I confronted them. Hey, your dog pooped on my lawn and you left it there. And she played it cool. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was on the phone. I didn't really notice. I'm like, I couldn't help but notice you're wearing a sundress without any pockets, so you don't actually have anything.
You did not say that.
Yeah. I'm like, you actually don't have anything to pick it up with. So you just have your dog poop. And she was like, yeah, I don't have anything. I'm like, well, you're in luck. I brought several dog bags.
You are the worst.
We would be enemies.
I gave it to her. I think this was nice. I'm like, please try to pick up after your dog, and this will help.
If I was your neighbor, we'd be enemies.
I would hate you so much. Like, I would not go back and pick that up. You know what I'd say? I'll be there in a little bit. Don't tell me what to do.
If I were your neighbor, I'd poop on your lawn. Me.
Personally.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking.
In fact, you're so mean, I'm thinking about doing it anyways. I'm gonna drive down there after the show.
Here's what I'm thinking, because my HOA sends me letters all the time about the height of my hedges. And they send me these letters after I've already personally addressed the hedges. And the letter was like post-dated to like the day before, but I had actually done it myself because I'm that kind of good neighbor. What I'm thinking is, because I know what sort of things my HOA will have a problem with, I'm going to build a doggy bag dispenser and just post it on my lawn.
Yep.
So they're going to come up to me and it'll say, please help yourself.
You could probably buy
You're going to have to replace it every single time they run out. You're costing yourself money.
It's all right. The HOA will confront me. Why do you have this? You're not allowed to have any signs, any political signs or anything like that. You're not allowed to have this on your lawn. I'm like, well, do something about the poop. Because I have. I've built this, and I'll take it away when you take all the poop away. What? Put up all these on your own. Do that. Do something for me, the little man, the only person that cares about this community. That's me.
Stugotz, you're like me. You don't pick up the poop, right? You're like me. Come on, be honest. I don't pick up the poop.
No, he picks up the poop.
No, he doesn't.
He picks up the poop. Stugotz, tell me you pick up the poop.
I got to be honest. I not only do I pick up the poop. All right, sorry, Fat Chris, to disappoint you, because I do not like it when the dogs poop on my lawn and no one picks it up. I'm with Mike on that. There is the rare occasion where I'll go out without the poopy bags, not thinking my dog has to poop because he already pooped a little bit earlier. Poops on the lawn. I will go home, get a bag, go back to that person's lawn and pick up the poop.
You are a good man.
I go out with the bag and do the fake pickup.
Oh, my God.
You are evil.
One time, I was walking my dog, and Hillary Clinton was having a rally right down the street. I could hear everything about it, and all I could remember is at that moment, I was picking up dog poop.
I had a dog moment with the Clintons as well.
Really?
Well, my brother lives in Chappaqua, and he told me to go walk his dog. And he said, go through this path here, and that's where the Clintons live. He said, hey, just go through the woods here with my dog. And he said, you may or may not, right around Thanksgiving, you may or may not run into the Clintons. They're always walking in that path. I was walking my dog, my brother's dog, in that path. The Clintons walked by with their dog.
Boom.
How about that?
Same story.
Yeah.
Did they pick up the poop?
I don't think the dog pooped, but I did. I called Bill Clinton BC.
Did he have you arrested?
Yeah.
I ain't got time
to BC. He'd have me arrested. They had some, people around them. They're always in this coffee shop, too, agreed to call them coffee shops yesterday.
Yeah, at the diner. What the heck is he talking about?
In Chappaqua. You walk in, and there's Hillary. She's just sitting there. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway. I saw him in the woods. It's funny that we both have Clinton dog stories.
Yours is so much better.
Not that good.
Is your home an ADT home? Get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. ADT is the first security company to help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate. With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Don Le Batard.
Do you refer to the yellow sauce at a hibachi restaurant as yum yum sauce? 57% of the audience said no.
Stugotz.
Do you go ginger, 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 yum yum, yum yum, yum yum, yum yum, yum yum, or yum yum, yum yum, yum yum, yum yum? 38% of the audience said yum yum, yum yum, yum yum. So they get 3 yum yum sauces. They ditch the ginger, get 2 yum yums with an additional yum yum. Second place was ginger yum yum. Fat Chris said earlier no one goes ginger, ginger. 18% of the audience goes ginger, ginger. And 18% of the audience also goes yum, 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 yum. About that.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Izzy or Izzy not? Coming up at noon Eastern here on ESPN Radio.
Closer.
Michael Collins is going to join us, golf analyst for ESPN, golf reporter for ESPN, going to join us, and former caddy at 11:30. Are you into Tiger and Phil? Now, it's a pay-per-view event. I feel like this is my idea that has been stolen yet again. They are adding all the elements that I've asked them to add, meaning you'll have I guess for the most part, a free-flowing conversation. There'll be on-course bets. I'm telling you, if Phil feels like he's going to lose the match, he's going to double down just about every hole. It's going to be exciting, but I'm wondering, so for me, I'm a big golf fan. I'd love to see this. So I'm going to pay whatever it is. You are playing golf for your first time with me this Saturday, Israel.
4th time in my life and first time with you.
Okay. So you haven't played golf until you played golf with me.
Okay.
In fact, put that on the poll. Have you played golf until you've played golf with Stugotz? So what I am wondering here, casual golf fan, is that how you would describe yourself?
I think probably a little bit more than casual, but not quite rabid.
Okay. Will you pay... Now, we don't know what the price is yet, right, Mike? Will you pay, let's just say, $50? Would you pay that to see Phil versus Tiger?
That's probably on the high end of what I would pay. It's probably right around the max of what I would pay. And frankly, I would probably pay about $25 just to see Tiger in a practice round. It's the Phil part that doesn't really excite me that much.
They need to soak the flames a little bit.
Well, Phil is doing this a little bit, right? Isn't he talking some smack?
I have sound. This is the best smack talk. He actually joined Michael Collins for an interview, and this is what he had to say.
For many years, he's gotten the better of me, but Friday night, it's going to be the easiest 10 mil I've ever made.
I love that.
I'd like to know.
You love that?
It's
kind of lame.
They're golfers. What do you want them to say?
I want them to ante it up. I want them to, take personal shots. Come on, we got a fight to sell.
Yeah, I want some veiled references.
Stu, you're rooting for Phil, right?
I'm rooting. Wow, this is a tough one, man. What I'm rooting for is they just make all kinds of bets. I don't really care who wins. I like both golfers. I think I'm probably rooting for Phil if I had to choose one, but I'm just rooting for them to make ridiculous bets. Like, I just want to hear Phil say to Tiger, hey, we're both 150 from the pin. $1 million closest to the pin. Let's go. I want to hear that. To me, that's the exciting part of it.
That'd be cool.
It's not the $9 million. It's that part
so by
of
the
their
end
interaction.
Of it, it'll be a 20 some odd $1 million at stake.
Hopefully, yeah. If they do it right.
Oh, I'd pay $50 to watch it Stugotz's way. If it's just two compulsive gamblers and it's better drive, we'll do that for $500,000.
Right. I mean, there's one, and then there's Tiger.
Where's the money coming from? It's not their money, right?
Probably pay-per-view buys is where the money's coming from.
So why would they gamble $1 million of their actual money on that?
Have you ever seen these guys gamble? Like, have you ever played poker at a real casino?
No.
Like the gamblers, the real gamblers, they have their side bets going all the time. They have to get their fix. They can't just, and they got, a ton of money or enough money to throw around and make these side bets, make it interesting. That's what makes it interesting for them. If it's not really their $9 million, it's only more interesting for them if they're costing themselves some of their own money.
Right. I mean, Billy, there are stories where Phil shows up, first tee box playing with, 3 other people, and he says, listen, $10,000 minimum. I don't come out here at 5:30, 6 in the morning to play golf unless we're playing for a lot of money. I mean, there are stories all over the internet about it.
Phil, I believe, is doesn't he have the Michael Jordan reputation from golf as being that gambler, that crazy money guy, that sort of personal life would be surprising to you if you heard about it? Like, he's got these reputation, right? That I'd love to see. I'd love to hear him sort of mic'd up during a regular golf match, and this one I think would be a pretty good one. But if he's mic'd up, he probably cleans it up a little bit.
It'd probably be a mistake to make this just off the buys, because I believe BR Live, it's not it's a subscription service, but you pay per event. So it's a pay-per-view event. There has to be a massive sponsorship.
I think there is, yeah.
And that's where the bulk of the money is. And I'd imagine to get these two, because that's going to draw a lot of anything Tiger does. It's the only thing in that sport that really moves the needle, right, Stugotz? Is there anyone that moves the needle in that sport?
No. I mean,
it's Tiger.
It's Tiger.
It's Tiger that draws in people who wouldn't be watching otherwise.
Tiger and
100%. Listen, this is not about this is not about Phil. It's all about Tiger. If it's Phil playing Jordan Spieth, it's not on pay-per-view. It's probably not even happening. It's not on pay-per-view. And if it was just on, free TV, I don't think a lot of people.
It's some about Phil, because I think you're going to get more people over there, because this is sort of assumed to be a rivalry.
Right, but the reason I think you can command pay-per-view is because of Tiger. I get what you're saying about the rivalry.
It's not a bigger deal. Like, Tiger can be playing, I don't know, give me, like...
what if it's Tiger and Spieth? They position it as, old guard versus the new guard. Yeah, because Tiger's involved. But if it's Phil and Spieth, I don't think that many people are interested.
$25.
Would you watch McGregor and Mayweather play golf against each other for $10 million?
I would not pay $10 million to watch that, no.
No, they're playing for $10 million. I would pay $100.
I'd rather watch that, I think.
Well, let's put that on the poll. Who would you rather play 18 holes? It's a bit wordy, Bill. You'll clean it up. For $10 million. Tiger and Phil, or Mayweather and McGregor?
How about this? I'd rather watch Tiger and Phil play putt-putt mini golf than traditional golf. Yeah. I think that would be more entertaining.
I think what makes this entertaining is the banter. Phil said, listen, we're going to be mic'd up. You can hear all the banter. So are the caddies. And so to hear those two guys talk smack to one another and just have the ability to do in-round bets,
I think if Tiger drops the line, like, it's cool if Phil loses, he'll just use some more insider trading to get that $9 million back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That's some trash talk.
Anyway, Michael Collins and a new NBA super team next.
Dan Le Batard.
What would you say, Stugotz? I feel like you misrepresent me all the time. You've been doing this show with me for a long time. What is my viewpoint about coaches? Because I feel like even
they don't matter at all. Misrepresentation?
Stugotz.
I don't even know why I bothered asking you.
What do you mean?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Is real or is fake coming up at noon Eastern. Michael Collins, we love him. I'm assuming he's at the tournament right now. Tiger is on the course. I think he's 1 under par. You can check him out. Maddie and the Caddy podcast. I like that. With Matt Berry and Michael Collins. New episodes weekly. Listen on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts. Michael, are you indeed, thank you for joining us, and are you indeed at the Northern Trust right now?
I am indeed at the Northern Trust. I ran back into the media center. Got a sports center hit to do here in a little while, too. And am chasing, of course, Mr. Woods around, kind of watching him play some golf and not play quite as well as he did at the PGA Championship. But he's not playing bad. He just is, he's off a little bit. But that's because he can't practice. And thank you, Stugotz, for having me on, because I know when Le Batard's not on, you can sneak me in like number 2 girlfriend, right?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Cool
Listen,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I snuck Greeny in yesterday to talk some Jets football. I snuck Will Kane in on Monday. Yes, I do I have all the guests on that Dan will not. And now don't take this the wrong way, Michael, but I have all the guests on when Dan is out that he would never have on.
Or that he has to be forced into having on, which is fine. That's fine. I'm cool with that.
I want to get to Tiger and Phil because this is interesting to me. But before I do that, Tiger said that this year has been one of the best years he's had. I understand why he's saying it, Michael, because of the comeback, because he thought golf was out of his life a year ago. But he is saying this year has been one of his best years, even without winning a major. What do you make of that?
Even without winning a tournament, he's saying this year is one of his best years. But that's because it's amazing how much you realize something means to you once the threat of it being taken away forever is real. And that's what I think he meant when he said this year means that much to him, the fact that he has put himself in contention twice. 2 times he had chances to win majors, and 2 times he couldn't close the deal. But for a guy who thought he was not even going to be able to play golf with his kids ever again, to be in that position to be against the best players in the world and have his name back up there on the scoreboard, I think tells you the human side of Tiger Woods. And that's the thing that we were just never used to, because we were so spoiled seeing that Tiger from 2000, 2004, and 2007. We were used to that intimidating dude who never showed emotion, didn't talk to the crowd, wasn't low-fiving kids. And now the Tiger that we're seeing this year is like embracing the crowd. You remember what he did walking over that walkway on Sunday after he was done, waving to the crowd and giving the thumbs up. Tiger back in 2007 would have never done that, ever. Not ever. So this guy is someone who, as now, I think, especially as a father, he absolutely. Oh, Brant Snedeker just WD. That's the announcement they're making.
Sneds.
Brant, there you go. Hey, breaking news. We get to break it right here. Brant Snedeker just WD'd with a chest injury. And that's the only update we've got.
Get that anywhere else
just made
here,
as we're on the air.
Yes.
There you go. That's how we roll, baby.
Yeah.
Michael, it's funny you mentioned that about Tiger, because I just laughed when you said that. The idea that waving and giving a thumbs up is him being human, because it's like the bare minimum when it comes to being, applauded by your fans and your reaction. But I'm curious about this. Just I don't know if there's other examples or just things that you know because you're you and people tell you things that they don't tell everybody else. But, there are people who just openly say, I don't know why I cheer for Tiger. I just do. And so he's got all these fans around him, and yet he seemed to take all that for granted, the human element of it and why these people loved him. Is he really taking that in now and not just kind of sort of working his way back to where he was before?
Well, I don't know that he took it for granted. Izzy, I'm going to be honest with you. What I think that he knew the intimidation factor that he had, And in order to keep that intimidation factor, back in the day, he couldn't be friends with anyone. You know, and I know he would hate this comparison, but there's a guy from a generation right before him who was the same way, who now we see on TV, and that's Nick Faldo. And Nick Faldo, when people used to say, was a jerk and was not a nice guy. It wasn't friends with anybody out there. But when Nick Faldo shut it down, he honestly came out, and I think he was being honest. And this is a guy who I was not friends with when he was out on tour, but who I'm friends with, go to dinner with a lot now. And he was brutally honest with me, and I think he said it publicly as well, is that he couldn't have played golf at the level that he played if he was friends with guys. And I don't know that Tiger would have been able to do that either. The cool thing about this Tiger is, and I think this is why Tiger appreciates it too, because the Tiger that's out here now, I'm sure in his heart he didn't know if he was going to be able to compete and hang with these guys, being friendly and acting almost like they act, because these guys that are out here now, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, all these young guys, they don't have a problem engaging with the crowd, you know? But, I mean, I saw Tiger years ago, you know, kind of diss the crowd after a round, and now he stands around signing autographs too. Now, he doesn't do it like Phil Mickelson. Like, don't get crazy. He's not going to go that crazy with it, but he's a different dude now, and I think, and I truly believe, and it's real. It's not fake. Like, what? And I knew it at Hero this year when me and him were just walking during the practice round, and we were talking and cutting it up and goofing off and stuff. I'm like, this is the Tiger that I remember, but then the Tiger that I saw with the crowd was like, man, this dude is like letting people kind of in just a little bit. I mean, he's still crazy private, but the guy, it's not fake. It's really him kind of just being in a different place in his life. And I think for a lot of us, like even what you were saying, is even for you, it's because of the Tiger that we knew before. For a lot of people, it's going to be hard to go, man, this guy, is he real, or is this kind of, is this all an act? But it's not. It's truly not.
All right, Michael Collins with us. Do you regret asking that question at all?
A little bit.
I want to get to the pay-per-view. Pay-per-view really quickly. So we have Phil and we have Tiger. They've agreed to do it. It's $9 million. I was surprised, Michael, that they decided to go the pay-per-view route. Do you think there's enough audience for them to go that route?
Nope. That was one of the stupidest things that they could possibly do.
I agree. Yeah.
See, and here's the problem. And again, you know, as these guys are my friends, I'm also going to tell them honestly, and this is the honest truth. You cannot stand in front of the camera and say, we're doing this and we're hoping to grow the game and bring a new audience, but we're going to make a new audience who maybe has never seen us before pay to watch. Okay. Yes, that's going to happen.
Right.
Okay. Like, good luck with that. You know what I mean? That'd be like, you know what? You know what I'm not paying to watch? My first cricket match. I'm not paying to watch cricket. To be like, oh, this is going to grow the game and it's only $10. You can keep your $10. I'll watch something else. Like, and don't tell me that you're going to hear stuff that you never would have. You know what? It's pay-per-view, but it ain't HBO.
Right, but Michael, but here's the interesting thing. At least for me, all right? Now, I'm a hardcore golf fan, but for me, the ability for them to be mic'd up, the caddies to be mic'd up, and to hear their banter and how they're going to shape shots, and the ability to have, you know, in-round bets, I think that's the fascinating part for me. But I need you, I don't know if you have this information. If they're both 150 from the pin, can Phil turn to Tiger and say, hey, $250,000 closest to the pin right now? Can they do that?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And their own money.
So see, and this is the thing. I don't even care about the $9 million because it's not theirs.
Right.
And this is one of the things I suggested to Phil yesterday, and he didn't bite on it. He said no, they didn't want to do it, and then came up with this cockamamie, you know, all his kids caddy for him and my special people caddy for whatever. I was like, you got to play for something that's not monetary. If you're not going to put your own money up, I would love to see each of them, if they start gambling back and forth like that, and they're playing for their own money, now we're talking.
Yes.
But I also want them to play for something that's non-monetary. My idea was loser has to caddy for the winner at the par 3 contest at the Masters.
Love that.
Imagine one of those guys having to go put a jumpsuit on with the other guy's name on the back,
and
now they're taking pictures.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because you know why? Because it would sting too much.
Yep.
It would sting worse than any amount of money they'd have to pay one another, just because every Christmas you would send the other guy the Christmas card of that.
Right.
Him standing in your jumpsuit at the Masters.
Be so great.
Phil balked at that, but Phil did say that he would like to play for something non-monetary. And I was like, it has to sting.
Yeah,
it has to be something.
It's got to be something that causes shame. Real quickly here on the way out, new NBA super team. We'll get to that coming up next segment here. But just real quickly here on the way out, here's the next idea, okay? And I'm telling you, Michael, you present it to Phil and Tiger and whoever you got to present it to. Get me a business plan, COB today, and we'll go in 80-20 my way, okay? But once this match is done, Tiger and Phil, they take on, as a team, they take on Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, okay? So it's the old guard versus the new guard. They bet money, in-round bets, and of course, I love your idea of someone has to be shamed at the end of this. Get this done, all right? Because this is the next thing here. It's Tiger, Phil versus, maybe a Jordan Spieth and a Ricky Fowler. Yeah?
No, man, I got one better already, but it's going to be, we're talking 80-20 my way, bro, because if I'm doing the work, I'm getting paid.
Right.
I'll throw you a little finder's fee, but come on, man. I'm going to give you 7%. So here it is, Tiger and Phil versus Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson.
Wow.
So we got the olds against the bros.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
All right.
Now you're talking.
60-40?
Yeah.
What do you think? 60-40? Your way. 60-40 your way.
70-30 final offer.
All right, 50-50.
55-55.
So it's not happening, is what you're saying. I'm hardcore, homie.
All right.
I like money.
As long as, listen, I'll agree to 70-30. You take care of all the legwork, business plan, all that stuff. Okay, you take care of that. I will take 30% of your profits. See you, Mike.
Gang, deal. Got it. See ya. Take care of y'all, fellas. That was awesome.
All right, man.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
Oh, Shlomo.
Stugotz.
Come on, Shlomo.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Does your life need sports so bad you just need to ditch work for a ball game? Introducing ESPN Ditch Days contest, where your most creative excuses for ditching work could win 2 tickets to an upcoming MLB day game. To enter, visit ESPN.com/ditchdays.
I can help you out with that.
Which part?
Coming up with excuses to get out of work.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
if anyone wants any sort of
How
help here.
many people do you think they could fill Marlins Park with that Ditch Days promotion?
What do you think?
100 maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Is real or is fake coming up at noon Eastern here on ESPN Radio. It's a new game. I can't wait.
I do have to pause and just marvel at something about you, Stugotz. It's amazing. Like, he doesn't know how to get here on time. He doesn't know, when things are happening. He doesn't really know much, right? But gosh dog it, at any given time of the day, he knows what Tiger's score is.
Yep.
Like, he's sitting there talking to Michael Collins. He's like going into every segment, not sure what we're getting into, yada, yada, yada. But in the middle of a sentence with Michael Collins' first interview, Tiger Woods, who, by the way, I believe is 1 under at the time. And he just and it's just amazing. It's amazing.
I know his score. I know where he is. I mean, you could
and
say
it's not
that
even televised.
You could probably say I have more information on a daily basis about Tiger Woods and his whereabouts than I do my own kids. You could say that. Seriously.
I mean, since you ship them away for part of the year and you don't know where they are, yeah, I could absolutely easily
Seems
say
like
that.
you have an issue with that. It's 2 months. It's not, part of the year. You're making it sound like I ship them out for half the year.
I mean, how long do you think a year is? It's a good portion of the year. It's almost an entire season of the year. There's only 4 of those.
It's 8 weeks, man.
All right.
Well, there's 52 weeks in a year. I think. I mean, I don't know. That's what they tell me. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, 8 out of 52, that's not bad. I need a break, Izzy. And quite frankly, my kids need a break from me. It's more for them than it is for me.
You act like you see them all the time on a daily basis. Like on a 24-hour day, you're probably seeing them, 4 or 5 hours tops?
Not even.
Yeah.
I mean, and right now I'm seeing them all day. I mean, school can't start soon enough. Jeez.
And when you are seeing them most of the time, you're yelling at them for not lacrossing properly, right?
No, I don't yell. I'm yelling at them because they're not talking to their mom properly. They don't, especially that Rachel. But I don't yell at Rachel. Rachel, when it comes to lacrosse, she does all the right things. So I'm not yelling at her about lacrosse things. You know when I get frustrated? I come home, I want peace, I want quiet, I want to watch my guy Tiger. All right, I come home, and it's like World War III is going on in the house every single day. And it's just Rachel and Emma, and they are crushing my wife, and my wife loses her mind, and she yells back at them. And you know what? I want to defend my wife here, but I can't. I cannot.
Just send them all away for 3 months at a time.
It's all her fault. All right, the guys, I guess last week, unbeknownst to me because I was on vacation, started a new segment here, Is Real or Is Fake?
That's not what it's called.
That's
not what it was called.
It's Israel or Isri fake.
That's also not what it's called.
And you came up with the game. Or was it you, Chris?
Is he or is he not? Is that the name of the game?
That's not the name of the game.
That's not it, man.
It's Izzy, which is his name.
Right.
All right. Izzy.
Right.
Or isn't he?
Oh, sure that's it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Sure?
Yeah. Now, the game, as it was explained to me, because it happened last week, was originally Izzy or isn't he a Marlin or Brave? And
that's confusing.
Yeah, which is...
Is he or isn't he a Marlin? And the other option was he was a Brave.
Okay, all right. Well, either way, not really teams that anyone cares about.
Right.
Oh, we're a sport.
Wow.
Sorry,
check
Billy,
the
you're right.
standings here and see
I
what
understand.
the Braves
Yeah,
are. Because, man.
Not a national sport anymore. Dan always says it's reasonable. So, we need this game to have legs. So, we're going to try to pivot. And I know you guys don't really know what the pivot is just yet.
The Braves are leading the National League East by 3 games.
That's right.
But I think it'll be easy to follow. Okay?
Okay.
So stick with me as we do this on the fly, and I'm not even sure there's a lane for Stugotz in this game.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, Izzy.
Sounds old-timey.
Lonzo Ball. Izzy, or isn't he, going to be on the Lakers by the end of the season?
Oh, wow. I was going to go
real
with
or
an
is
Atlanta
fake?
Brave on that one. Man. Woo-hoo. Is he or isn't he going to be a Laker at season's end? I'm going to go with an Izzy. I'm going to go with it's way too much trouble to trade away Daddy Ball and everything that comes with it. And you know what? I saw a couple highlights last year that reminded me that Lonzo Ball, when healthy and gets that jumper a little bit fixed, is actually a nice player. I'm going to go with an Izzy.
Wow.
And remember, mustn't we forget, I don't even know how that goes, when LeBron whispered in Lonzo's ear last year after they played. Remember, that only happens with his future teammates. He's not doing that to Andrew Wiggins, right? Izzy.
Stugotz, Izzy or isn't he?
Isn't he? Lonzo Ball will be traded by the end of this season from the LA Lakers. He will not be a Laker.
By the end of this sentence.
No, by the end of the season. He will not be a Laker next season. And by the way, we'll get to that new NBA super team at some point.
Can't wait.
Ben Simmons. Is he or isn't he ever going to learn how to shoot?
So is he or isn't he Tal Rondo? I did see something where he said he was a bit of a coward for not shooting threes last year. I'm going to go with another Izzy. I'm going to say, in fact, I'll put some numbers on it. I'm going to say that he will try at least 20 three-pointers this year and make at least 4 of them.
Stugotz, is he or isn't he?
What's that percentage?
4 out of 20. I will give you the answer by the time you're done.
Because maybe you should take more. That seems like a decent percentage, does it not? I think Izzy. I think Ben Simmons has enough pride in his craft that he's a good enough athlete. I've seen him when he takes foul shots. The stroke actually looks fairly decent, so I think it's a skill that he can learn.
Did you know that he shoots foul shots with a different hand than he shoots his other shots?
Well, maybe he should shoot the threes with a different hand as well, so I'm going to go Izzy.
His third hand.
How about that?
Sam Darnold. Is he or isn't he going to get booed by the Jets fans by the 4th week of the season?
Oh, that's easy.
That was a Greeny question, isn't it?
The Will Kane question.
The Will Kane question, which was then transferred to Greeny via Stugotz. Will he be booed? Will he be booed? Will he be booed by the 4th game? And I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Izzy again. I'm going to say Izzy. I got the game wrong. I'm going to say Izzy because I think there are potentially 2 better quarterbacks behind him. So yes, I'm going to say Izzy.
Stugotz?
I can't ask follow-up questions, right? Like, it depends on record, depends on how he plays.
Izzy or isn't he?
It's the Jets. Yes, Izzy is my answer. It's the Jets. They'll get off to a lousy start. Darnold won't be very good. And yes, Jet fans, they will not wait 4 games. They will not wait 4 possessions. They will boo Sam Darnold.
So the last time we played this, Mike, and I forgive you for not being here, I was actually right or wrong when I said these things. So when am I going to find out when I'm right, if I'm right or wrong, and what's my prize going to be? And frankly, what was my prize before?
Ryan Tannehill. Is he, or isn't he, the future of the Dolphins franchise at the quarterback position?
I'm going to go ahead and fit in here rather than fitting out with all those questions. I think I know where we stand. Everybody knows where we stand on this. This isn't he. Although it's a tricky question because he's going to be apparently the future until they decide that he isn't. And so my answer is isn't he, even though in reality it will be an Izzy.
Stugotz, Izzy or isn't he?
There's no follow-up questions. Chris, shut up.
Isn't he? Isn't he? Ryan Tannehill will never be the quarterback the Dolphins want him to be. So I will say no. Ryan Tannehill is not the answer for the Dolphins at quarterback. Isn't he? It was a trick question because it begs there's a lot of stuff there. It's a very difficult question.
To be honest, it's a question that they'll be asking after he plays an entire career and retires as a Miami Dolphin.
Yes. Was Ryan Tannehill good?
Yes. Joe Flacco.
We'll never know.
Same question.
It's funny you should mention that.
Uh-oh.
Joe Flacco.
Oh, boy.
Is he, or isn't he, elite?
Woo! This is the ultimate question. I think we have to shut this game down after this, right? There can't be any more questions.
I got more. Even though you don't.
All right.
Even though
let's
you
put this one on the back burner.
It's not the ultimate question. That would be Marino Montana.
Yeah, I've only got 27 more.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to go with an Izn't He, because you can't have somebody who was drafted at the end of the first round on your tail if you're elite.
Stugotz, Izzy or isn't he?
He's got a ring. Elite. Izzy.
Brandon Ingram. Is he, or isn't he, ever going to fulfill his promise?
Whoa. Man, these questions are so tricky because to me, his promise is not that high. I'm going to go with an Isn't He. And why? Because if you were drafted second overall by the Los Angeles Lakers, your greatness will have to be much higher, much further, much greater than where I have Brandon Ingram as a ceiling. So I'm going to go with Isn't He.
Stugotz, is he or isn't he?
I'm going to say isn't he, simply because LeBron James is there. That's it. Like, LeBron's going to get all those stats that Ingram would get if he fulfilled his potential, but since LeBron is there, now some people would say, hey, LeBron makes you better. I'm telling you that he doesn't. And so I'm going to say isn't he.
Actually, I'm going to add to that, if I may.
Check the bylaws. Is this allowed? Can he add to it?
My name's on the game, so I'm going to go ahead and change that and add that to the bylaws if it's not already there. If Brandon Ingram's ceiling is, or potential is, the next Kevin Durant, do you think LeBron would either play with Brandon Ingram until he becomes that person, or just get Kevin Durant starting next year?
All right, just 26 more of these.
All right, good.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Is he, or isn't he, going to turn the ball over too much?
Oh, boy.
Wow, very specific questions. Too much. I saw on our sound sheet, that Louis Riddick is very high, and very high is written in all caps, very high on Patrick Mahomes. I'm in. If Louis Riddick believes it, and it's in all caps, and it's on our sound sheet, I'm going with an Izzy.
So Izzy. All right, Stugotz, is he or isn't he?
Isn't he? In fact, I think my fear is he's going to turn the ball over so much that we'll refer to him as Patrick Mahomes-less.
Oh, wait, I changed my answer. It's Isn't He. I'm sorry. I'll wait for the...
So wouldn't it be Izzy? The question was kind of, I see the flaw.
Is he going to turn it over too much? And I'm going to say, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say yes, and he's going to be Patrick Mahomes.
It was a good line.
What? What?
We're rounding third here. All right.
I gave it a little, giggle inside.
Amazing. We only have time for one more.
All right.
Izzy or isn't he?
All right.
Brian Anderson.
Right.
Is he or isn't he a Marlin?
Man. Are there more than one Brian Anderson in the Major League Baseball?
Brian Anderson, is he or isn't he a Marlin?
Izzy.
Stugotz. Brian Anderson, is he or isn't he a Marlin?
Isn't he?
I actually don't know the answer.
I have no answer.
I think there were about 15 Brian Andersons in Major League Baseball. Is this Brian A. Anderson? Right. Brian L. Yeah, he's a Marlin.
Hey. Oh, well, what am I celebrating?
Is he or is he not fake? Why are you so fake?
I ain't got time to bleed.
Isn't it one of the Dodgers we established is going to win the Cy Young? If they gave a Cy Young out each month, that the Anderson and the Dodgers would win the one for August? Yeah, .7 ERA. I don't know if it's Brian Anderson.
I thought the Dodgers just win Rookies of the Year.
That was in the 90s.
That was in the 90s.
Sorry.
You remember any of those names? Steve Sachs?
Mike Piazza?
Mike Marshall. What a bad game. I was talking about Israel or is fake.
Brian Anderson's a catcher for the Oakland A's.
No, it's Brett Anderson I'm thinking about.
But he spells that one with a Y. And this one, you should have been able to tell how I said it. This was the B-R-I-A-N.
Yes, I wasn't listening.
Right. Wait, that A's guy spells it how?
With a Y.
Really?
Yeah.
What's going on with the A's? Chris Davis with a K? I mean, he's crushing it.
The bar I go to that spells drink with a Y. How do you pronounce that?
Want to buy you a drink.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I should have done this years ago.
Disclaimer, traveling back in time is physically impossible unless you know how to build a functioning time machine. Then by all means, travel 25 years back in time, switch your car insurance to Geico. You could save a bunch of money. While you're there, please prevent your younger self from wearing that sleeveless tuxedo t-shirt, parachute pants, and glitter high tops to your senior prom. And at long last, rectify this horrible crime against nature. Geico is absolved of all liability if you destroy the fabric of time and space.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Don Batard.
Limited fake Tim Kirkchen. What do the Royals have to do to make the playoffs?
Stugotz.
Dan, the Royals are really good.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right. Our thanks to Michael Collins for joining us earlier. Tomorrow, we are going to play Is Real or Is Fake. We hope. Where's Mikey C on the smoke break? Has anything developed there? They were last time we checked in, Mikey C was in meetings with Bubba. They were trying to figure out and secure Stephen A. Smith for a smoke break. That's not going to happen. So have they figured out anything?
Bubba
anything, Mikey C?
Well, I guess they did spot Victor Cruz down at the cafeteria eating nachos. But
was he salsaing?
It's clever, but no, he could never.
Got robbed, is it? So what's the latest? So what are we doing? I mean,
I found the smoke break I did with Chris and Billy from the shipping container.
Yeah, but here's the deal that we made. I said I will air that smoke break, the one you did with Billy and Chris, if you secure a big time guest for today that we could air tomorrow. So you need to get that done. And where are you on that?
Failing miserably.
Right, but you're in Bristol. I mean, there are people just walking around.
Have you even tried John Fox?
I don't know.
You don't know if you tried?
No, I don't know if I want to try John Fox.
Why?
I don't know. You think he's big enough?
I'm telling you, if you get John Fox to go out to a dumpster on the Bristol campus and enjoy a cigarette with you, that I will play Guillermo and Fat Chris in 10 minutes. How about that?
Well, I'll have to tune in tomorrow because it's not going to happen in the next 10 minutes.
Have someone go approach John Fox and see if he'd be willing to do it. What are you doing?
I had somebody approach Victor Cruz and got the excuse, oh, no, he can't do it. He's eating nachos. So. Okay.
Right. That was his excuse. I can't do it. I'm eating nachos.
That was the excuse I got. Yeah.
I mean, we can bring the nachos. You're going on a smoke break. Why can't you use nachos or take nachos with you?
All right.
Yeah, why is cigarette breaks acceptable? Why can't I just say, hey, if a cigarette's acceptable, can't I take a nacho break?
Right, Dan does.
Remember what Maury Povich told you about these ridiculous smoke breaks?
No.
Here, heed the words of Maury Povich.
Stugotz.
Yo.
Unfortunately, I listened to that damn show you do with Golick Jr.
Yeah.
Get some new. I need a new segment. Get a new segment. Don't go out to the dumpster anymore with the cigarette guy.
Oh no, I love the cigarette break. I love it. I love it.
He
Mikey
just
C's gonna be
crushed poor
so.
little Mikey C. He crushed him.
Maury, I want you to come on this Sunday and crush Mikey C to his face.
Povich, you are a distinguished journalist and an American hero.
Hey, we all dip down once in a while.
All right, but you're crushing poor Mikey C.
I know.
Little producer with some shine.
I mean, of all people to be criticizing a segment.
Honestly,
heartbroken.
Honestly,
Hey, look.
Povich.
Too many of those media elite people have trashed me for years.
Okay. All right. So you're all right. There you go. So you're passing it down. Very good.
Smoke break coming up in 10 minutes. Billy, Fat Chris, Mikey C out of the dumpster. That's coming up in 10 minutes, plus a new NBA Super Team.
True or false? You spent the segment or the break after that segment with Maury Povich / the rest of that day bragging about Maury Povich listening to your weekend show.
Rest of that week.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a good get right there.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, smoke break, 10 minutes. And Super Team. We got away from Urban Meyer for about an hour and a half. You're thankful for that, huh? Here's one of the things that drives me crazy about this Urban Meyer story. Just kind of a random thing here. But this will be out of the news cycle, Izzy, probably tomorrow, certainly by Monday. Would you agree?
Yep.
Okay. They're going to play Michigan 2 or 3 months from now. And all the networks, we forget so quickly. Let me remind you that Urban Meyer at the University of Florida, while he was the head coach, had 31 arrests under his watch. And now he has this latest thing here with Ohio State. What does he get? 3 games, no pay, slap on the wrist, he'll coach again, and parents will send their kids to Urban Meyer to play football again.
I'm pretty sure that after week 1, we will just hear praise for whoever the fill-in coach is.
Yes.
After he beats Oregon State and Rutgers, and then maybe beats TCU after that, and then all of a sudden, Urban comes back to a 3-0 team, and it'll be talking about the old coach or the sub coach, not the current coach.
So we all contribute to why Urban Meyer got up there and made a speech that not many people feel are sincere. The fans are telling you they don't care. They care about winning 9 out of 10 games in a national championship every 5 years.
Yep.
The media is kind of telling you they don't care because I promise you this. 3 months from now, Ohio State, Michigan, a bunch of puff pieces by all the networks about what a great guy and what a great coach and what a great program Urban Meyer has at Ohio State. And it's going to drive me crazy, but I guarantee you it's going to be done. In the build-up to that game, I guarantee you all the praise for Urban Meyer is going to come back. 2 or 3 months removed from this particular story and a guy, 31 arrests at his time while overseeing the program at the University of Florida. That's what you're going to get. And it's Ohio State, Michigan. Urban, great coach, great guy, great leader. Give me a break.
Stugotz, that's absurd. The puff pieces before a Michigan-Ohio State game, you can't tell the story of Ohio State football without addressing this in a non-puff piece fashion. The puff pieces will come after he beats Michigan.
Oh, okay.
It's just ridiculous, dude.
It's fair. Hey, you're right, man. How about Harbaugh? How about that guy? He's got to be sitting around going, Harbaugh, Mike, little game of gun to your head. Harbaugh wanted Urban Meyer fired? Yeah.
I think everyone in the nation wanted Urban Meyer fired except for the ones that support the Buckeyes.
And listen, by the way, Buckeye fans, I understand it. I'm 19, 20 years old. I only care about, honestly, I understand where you're coming from. You want your team to win national championships. You want your football team to be good. You don't care what's swirling around the coach that's providing your feel good. At 19 or 20, I promise you, if I am capable of perspective as I get older, anyone is. Your feelings on this will change. Go have kids. Imagine that's your kid sitting on the TV saying, hey, this is what this coach did to me, and the coach in charge of that coach, of my husband, didn't really do anything about it. Imagine if that's your daughter or your sister. Okay? Imagine how you feel. Because I promise you, Kids will change you. Age will change you. It will provide perspective. If it happened to me, it could happen to anyone.
Don Le Batard. Game day bucket, go boom! Stugotz.
I do like that idea, Goldie. Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And now your SportsCenter update. Manu Ginobili is considering retirement and will meet with Greg Popovich to discuss the future. Presumably his future. The NCAA has dropped RPI as tournament evaluation measure and will replace that with the NCAA evaluation tool, or NET. And finally, a frightening sexually transmitted disease originating in the tropics can cause your genitals to fall off if left untreated. The disease, which causes genitals to become flesh-eating ulcers, has been detected for the first time in the UK and is reportedly making a comeback in other countries as well. A comeback. According to the Daily Mirror, the rare STD donovanosis is usually found in remote tropical countries. It causes genital ulcers to grow and spread. Untreated, the flesh in the groin area starts to eat itself. So far, it has been diagnosed in the UK 3 times.
That is nuts.
Just a reminder. Damn it. Hey, just a reminder, if doing your deck is on your to-do list this summer, put new Valspar stain on your shopping list. That way you can get all-weather protection and more inspiring color. The Valspar exterior stain only at Lowe's. For all the latest headlines and information, tune into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
I need a ruling here. Is that a fine on Izzy?
It's going to be a fine for Izzy going forward.
I'm looking down at the paper. How do I know what you're going to say?
What? Just chemistry, man. That's it. You just got to know. It's good. I remember yesterday we did that joke. We did it twice. Mike gave me this sound when I did it twice yesterday. What? And you're talking about that story, and you have to know that line, you know.
Except, I'm thinking more of the entire genital area, not just,
Mm-hmm.
And, man, the part that gets me about this is, when you're starting to get genital ulcers, go ahead and treat it. Don't leave it untreated.
It's a good
treat
life.
it.
It's a good life lesson there.
That's all I'm saying. There's my life hack.
NBA super team, the next one, we'll get to it in just a second. Izzy had a funny idea during the break what the Michigan assistant coach is, what Jim Harbaugh should be doing all week.
Leading up to Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio State week. He should just promote all the good deeds of his assistant coaches the entire week. I'd like to talk about such and such, my receivers coach, who has done this and has given this money to charity, has 2 beautiful daughters, and is raising them very well.
I'd start that campaign right now if I'm Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Just hear all the great things I've done, my coaches have done. I would start that right now leading up to the Ohio State game. And if he loses to Ohio State again, because he could never beat them, and in the post-game press conference, I would only talk about the good deeds I have done as a coach, not about the game at all.
When people talk about me covering up, they're talking about putting on a shirt.
All right, what is Woj putting out there? New rule in the NBA? What is going on here?
Well, it was a sham jam and a Woj bomb. Within seconds of each other.
All right.
But actually, I was given this information by Roy. So what would we call the Roy splashes of information?
Splash.
All right, let's call it that. So the Roy splash, he tells me
splash.
This I'm reading from Woj's Twitter account. ESPN sources, NBA's competition committee recommending rule changes for 2018-19 season that include, and this is the only first one that really matters, reset of the shot clock to 14 seconds after an offensive rebound.
Splash.
That was big news, Roy. And so now they reset it to 14 seconds after like a kickball or what other scenarios? I think that's it, right? Or after a foul, or I think they reset it to 5 seconds when the jump ball happens when it's at a low number. But to 14 seconds after an offensive rebound, to me, I have an issue with this one, I think, right? Because like and I understand you want to speed up the game, more opportunities, more chances to score, etc. But the offensive rebound is a reward. Like you just earned yourself a full new possession, right?
The reward was 24 seconds. Now it's 14.
Right. You can kick it out, reset the shot clock, get yourself a new shot. This time it's just, so for a kickball, I get it. You don't want to set the reset the clock all the way up because it's a kickball and whatever. It's in the middle of a possession, right? The offensive rebound, presumably, unless you're going for the putback, is, a kick out, start your possession over. Normally, you'd have to be at like 10 seconds at that point, then you'd rushed.
But 8 seconds is just to get the ball across half court. So they're already on their end of the hoop.
And that's a fair point, but what Israel is saying is, in that half-court scenario, you are fighting for something, and it's harder to get the offensive rebound than it is getting the defensive rebound. So you get it, and your reward is not a full set clock. Right. You're getting 14 seconds.
8 seconds is the amount you have. People don't bring it up after 16 and say, okay, let's start our offense with 16 seconds left. Ideally, they'd like to start it with 20, 21 seconds left.
And there are teams who get the ball across half-court, the Golden State Warriors, in like 2 seconds.
Understood, but the reward is now 14 seconds as opposed to 24 seconds.
Well, Mike,
Come
you
on,
like
man.
this?
It's not entertaining basketball in a late game scenario where for just 22 seconds you're seeing a star dribble out the ball at the top of the key. I like this. You don't need 10 additional seconds in that sort of situation.
You're going to like it, Mike, until it affects your team. Until the Heat are in a big game, get a big offensive rebound, only have 14 seconds.
But
I'm so mad I don't have 10 extra seconds of this guy dribbling.
Never mind the strategy
it's
part.
Going to happen.
But how many rushed offensive possessions are you going to have when you get that offensive rebound, don't have a putback, kick it back out? Now you're talking 8, 9 seconds, 10 seconds for a possession. You've got to rush through it. Like, that's not going to be pretty basketball all the time, is
the possessions are usually garbage possessions when a team is trying to milk out the clock. It's iso ball at the top.
You're associating it with milking out the clock. I'm just talking about in the regular portion of a game. Like if it's a 2-point game with 5 minutes left and you have a very important possession, you get the offensive rebound. Now all of a sudden it's like, man, I got to rush through this possession.
I think you're also overlooking the fact that the vast majority of these offensive rebounds are putback opportunities and the ball goes right back up too.
Right.
That's fine.
But it might not. You're rewarding the team that can't get a defensive rebound. That's what you're doing.
But a team essentially has because of the 8 second
I would say
rule.
the offensive rebound is harder to get, and in fact, they shouldn't get 14 or 24. They should get 48 seconds. How about that?
Essentially, the team has the same amount of time in the half court to make a possession work, right? Because you're removing the time that it would take for them to...
Not necessarily. I mean, if you think about it, so... Man, it's also tough for clock operators, like deciding between the defensive rebound. Like if it's a 50-50 ball, you have to decide whether to hit that 24 or that 14 real quick. That's a tough job.
It should also be make it, take it, but that's for another day. Why should the defense get the ball back for giving up a bucket? How about you stop them? Make it, take it. And offensive rebounds, you get rewarded with not just 24 seconds, an additional 24. 48?
Have we been complaining about the game being too slow? Have we been complaining about the scores being too low? Because remember the 90s when every score was in the 80s. Like that was not as fun. Like why are we needing to speed it up even more when we're complaining the game's already soft?
Why be reactionary? I think this is actually cool. There are going to be far more times where I'm happy that a team doesn't have an additional 10 seconds to milk off the clock when my team doesn't have a timeout. I think it'll make the endings of games even more compelling.
That part is interesting where if you get an offensive rebound with, say, 16 seconds left, and normally that would be the end and you've got a foul, well, hey, we can still play this out. So it creates some more scenarios at the end of games where it can be entertaining for the fans, but I just don't think the game needs it. And I think it essentially, when it comes to aesthetics in the middle of a basketball game, I think it's probably going to end up with more bad possessions than good ones.
Oh, you're sounding like baseball right now. Don't be a purist about this. You don't need that 10 ridiculous seconds.
You want to speed it up a little bit, drop it to like 18 seconds in.
Fine. Meet me in the middle.
I'll tell you what the game needs. It needs another super team, and there's one forming right now. I'll tell you about it next.
Good idea.
Dan Le Batard.
Finally, Jane's Addiction frontman, Perry Farrell.
Stugotz.
Perry Farrell. Farrell. Perry Farrell.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, let's update the polls here at Le Batard Show on Twitter. Urban Meyer's out of the news stream, right? Like tomorrow, it's over. That's it. We're done.
I'm not sure. I just don't know. I don't like what's going on here.
What's going on here?
So I went to the restroom, and I have mixed feelings about going to the restroom here, and I don't know if we have time to talk about that here.
We have time. We're good.
But I went to the restroom, and I come back, and you're giving Mike Ryan golf swing tips.
He's my partner, though.
Oh, man. This is so unfair. I'm so torn on this.
Wait, time out.
It's like I need to try to beat him, but also outdress him. Even though we're only talking about the dressing part, I also need to outgolf Mike. We've both only going for the fourth time in our lives.
Okay,
but I don't feel like getting tips from you is fair. but he's your partner, so now I'm torn.
Well, listen, when you asked me to play, you said your partner,
right?
Okay, was a scratch golfer.
Who's also my playing partner. And he is not necessarily a scratch golfer. I did not say that.
You said he had like a 1 or 2 handicap.
I did not say that.
You said something like that, Izzy.
Actually, you even asked him, and he doesn't even know how to calculate a handicap.
You know what? And I asked his partner, his life partner and his golf partner. I asked him, and you know what he said? He said he never played golf. At that Batard event in Fort Lauderdale. He's like, I never played golf. And you know Izzy's partner is going to come out and fire like a 67 on Saturday. We have a big golf match, by the way. It is Israel, his partner, me and Mike Ryan, Fat Chris, and his dad, Greg. It's best ball. It's on Saturday. I'm sure we'll tweet and do some videos from it. But I am telling you, Greg's starting to ask all kinds of questions. Like he wants to bail. Talking about the weather, the rain, the clouds, all. Chris, he is asking me 1,000 questions.
He's not going to bail. He's just annoying.
Okay.
I have a question. I don't know why I'm raising my hand like I'm in school, but I have a question. How, married are you guys to these pairings? Why don't you just randomly select? Like, why don't you put all these names? Look, let's do it on the air tomorrow. I'm not attached to this in any way. Put all your names in a hat, and we'll draw the pairings.
Wow.
Because then you have a chance of Izzy being paired with me, and that's a terrible pairing.
I know. Everybody will be jealous of what we're wearing.
Well, maybe we could do, right, exactly. I mean, you win before we even tee off. Chris does not want that because he has the best number 2. He has the best partner.
That's right.
He's got Greg.
Is Stugotz the only one who still calls you Fat Chris, by the way?
No, we all call him Fat Chris.
Oh, okay.
But you're currently not playing for any stakes, so what difference does it make for your partner?
No, we're playing for stakes, believe me. And so here's the, it's not a bad suggestion, but Mike is right. Mike and Izzy, that's not fair. So if we can do
look too good.
Well, maybe we'll do the A's and the B's. You know what I'm saying?
So each A, you'll pick a B for that person.
Meaning, yes, me, Israel's partner, and Chris, I think, are the 3 best golfers of the 6. So put our names in a hat.
I don't like this.
Are we intentionally not saying your partner's name?
No, his name's Anthony. You feel free to say the name Anthony.
This seems very rude. Like he's a person.
Or AJ. If you
I apologize. I know I met him a week ago, but I don't know his name.
So who's Chris's team's A? Is it Chris or Greg?
Me. Chris is the
Chris. All right, so Stugotz, AJ, and Chris would be in one hat. And then Mike, Greg, and Izzy would be in another.
The cool thing here is the relationships, father and son.
This is how you make new friends. This is how you make new friends.
AJ has no idea who Stugotz is either.
We also don't really know how good AJ is, and we don't really know how good Greg is. Like,
you don't know how good your dad is?
No, I know he's like high 80s, low 90s. Like, you said AJ was a scratch golfer, and then earlier I was asking, and you're like, he plays.
Let's be honest. Stugotz is relaying the information that I said that AJ was a scratch golfer. That is not good information.
Listen,
this is Stugotz information.
I have earned this because no one's going to believe me. That's body of work. I have earned it. But Israel, you told me he was a good golfer.
I said he was a good golfer. In comparison to me, anybody's a good golfer.
Okay. Right. He might think my dad's a good golfer. Like, AJ and my dad could be similar.
I have 3 A's and 3 B's right now, people, if we want to do this.
I'm in. I mean, listen,
I don't know if I'm in. I like my playing partner.
Right, so I do understand everyone needs to be in. I understand what Mike's saying. The relationships here are big. Like, and I already have, Mike's in my mind. I know what I need to do to put Mike in the right position. I've seen his game before.
I do a practice.
I mean, Mike will putt from 150 yards out.
But if we're
sometimes you need that.
If we're playing best ball, all that matters is the A's. It's just A versus A versus A.
No,
it's contributions from the B's. The B's
win.
Win
Practice one.
Contributions, whether it's mid-range Mikey or how good my shirt looks, I'm going to bring something to the table, and that's where the reward is for me. That's what's going to keep me coming back.
Right now in this practice one, the B's are in a hat.
Okay.
All right.
Bill, I'm going to update a poll question real quick, and then you selected B.
Perfect.
Have you played golf if you haven't played with Stugotz at Batard Show on Twitter? 68% of the audience said no.
All right, so now right now we're going to draw for Stugotz's A. So in this practice, Stugotz's partner.
Stugotz is the A.
No, I know the A's are out. We're
B.
picking the B's for the A team.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Oh wow! Right now it would be Stugotz and Izzy in the practice.
Okay. All right.
The downgrade.
I've become insanely
That's a downgrade,
jealous.
you say? You haven't even seen me play or dress.
Right, that's a good point. Fair.
You've seen me dress, though.
Do another poll.
And then you kept asking them to leave the room.
I'll leave the course. It's embarrassed playing golf.
You're supposed to do a poll.
We're supposed to do a poll here, Stugotz.
Did Stugotz put Mike Golick Sr. on the map? Cleaning that up from yesterday. 67% of the audience said yes.
Told you. Right,
so it's so low.
Right now I'm picking for AJ. AJ's partner tomorrow in the practice right now would be Mike.
Interesting.
Oh,
nice.
all right.
So
Greg
get the
and Chris are
Codys
still
together.
yeah.
At a diner, does someone have to call you sweetie? 81% of the audience said yes.
Also yesterday's poll, and I believe it was sugar was what should have been on the poll.
All right, so who am I playing with?
Right now, I mean, we haven't done it officially, but
Stugotz.